Living longer, living healthier, living better than ever before. Welcome to Mountain Pacific's Healthy Living for Life, a weekly series that gives you the information, education, and expert insight you need to become an active participant in today's ever-changing healthcare climate. Here now is today's program host.
Have you talked with your loved ones and your doctor about what you want for your end-of-life care? It's not an easy conversation to have, but it's an important one to make sure your wishes are known. But first, you have to know your options. What are the different possibilities when it comes to getting the end-of-life care you want? That's what we'll be talking about on today's episode of Healthy Living for Life, a show dedicated to helping you do just that. I'm your host, Beth Brown. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Joining me today is Dawn Port, who is going to talk with us about some end-of-life care options. Dawn, thanks so much for being here again.
Yes,
you came here before, but we just realized this was a huge topic. It needed more time, so we appreciate you giving us that time.
You bet.
So can we start out by talking about hospice and palliative care? A lot of people think those are the same. I was one of them, but they're different, right?
They are different in one major way. Palliative care can start at any time during a disease process. So if someone is diagnosed with, say, heart failure or lung disease or cancer, when they get that diagnosis, we could potentially come in with palliative care, look at what's important to them, how can we help them maintain their quality of life while they're getting treatments, actively seeking treatment for whatever disease process they're living with. And that can actually go on for, maybe 2 or 3 years even. Okay. But the major difference between palliative care and hospice is that hospice really is focused on those last few months of an individual's life. So both palliative care and hospice look at what symptoms the individual is living with. How can we help with those symptoms? We look at what are the psychosocial issues that they might be living with. Say they need, special equipment in their home, or they have some financial concerns of receiving care or being able to remain in their own home. Do we need to look at different housing? Are there some spiritual issues that we need to address? So we really look at the whole individual. What are the barriers? How can we help overcome those? How can we maintain a quality of life for people? Okay. So both hospice and palliative care do that piece of it.
Okay, so whether it's palliative care or hospice care, and palliative care, as you said, can last much longer than hospice, how do those types of care get paid for?
Oh, good question. So both palliative care and hospice can be paid for through insurance. I would suggest to people that they really look at their policies, though, and talk with a representative at their insurance company about palliative care. Okay. Palliative care is a relatively new kind of concept. And we're working, especially in Montana, looking at talking with insurers. How can we pay for palliative care? What are the things that we need to be looking at? In hospice, is definitely paid for by a variety of insurance programs: Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross Blue Shield, TRICARE, all of those things. Okay. Now, there may be some co-pays with that an individual has to pay, but generally hospices will pick that up for the individual. Also, if a person is a veteran, the VA will pay for hospice care 100% of the time. Yeah.
Okay, and so where does this care usually happen?
Anywhere that an individual calls what their home is. So we can go into assisted living facilities, both with palliative care and with hospice care. There are some programs in Montana, especially in the bigger communities where the hospice has a palliative care, or excuse me, the hospital has a palliative care program, and they will go into an assisted living facility or they'll go into a community nursing home. And of course the individual's own home. So wherever an individual calls home, that's where we go. Yeah.
And are there special providers that give that care, or who provides that care to people?
Yeah. So for most palliative care teams in Montana that I'm aware of, it really is a team of individuals. So we can address all of those issues that I talked about earlier. So it can be a physician or a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant that will be the primary care person, or will consult with that individual's primary care provider. There may very well be a social worker, a pharmacist, a dietitian involved. So it really is a team effort. The same in hospice. The nice thing about hospice is they also can add some additional services where they will have a certified nursing assistant that can come in and help with bathing, along with all those other services.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're almost out of time this segment, but just really quickly, if someone has a pacemaker or some device like that, does that get shut off during hospice care?
Oh, that's a really good question. And the answer really is, it is an individual choice. I have known people that they would really like to have their, it's called an ICD, it's a defibrillator, an implantable defibrillator. They would really like to keep that on for a time. But then they might, because of their heart's disease, that defibrillator might start going off and they get shocked every once in a while to get their heart back in a regular rhythm. So they decide to have that turned off.
Okay.
So it really is an individual decision.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
thanks, Dawn. We do need to take a break, but when we come back, what do you really know about life-sustaining treatments, especially in the case of an emergency? We'll talk about your options and what they really mean when it comes to your health right after this. Stay with us.